Everyone deserves to feel safe. The Missouri Department of Mental Health wants to make sure that every person needing mental health services receives good care and treatment. The department will not tolerate abuse or neglect in any form. Please help us by reporting any abuse or mistreatment you see. Several kinds of abuse or neglect may happen, so the Department of Mental Health wants you to know what to look for and how to report it. The department takes all reports of abuse or neglect seriously and will investigate them. If you notice something, it is better for everyone if you make the call. Let's start by talking about the different kinds of abuse. The first kind of abuse you need to know about is physical abuse. Physical abuse occurs when a person beats, hits, wounds, or injures another person. Sexual abuse may happen in several different ways. When an employee of the Department of Mental Health or private provider has any form of sexual activity with a person who receives mental health services, the action of the staff member is always considered sexual abuse. If a person receiving mental health services has a guardian or developmental delay, sexual activity may be considered abuse whether or not the person has agreed to participate. Some examples of sexual activity include kissing, touching a person's genitals, breasts, or buttocks, or sexual intercourse. Sexual abuse also occurs when a person shows or gives a consumer videos, pictures, books, or magazines that show naked people or people having sex. Verbal abuse happens when a person curses, threatens, or says critical things directly to a consumer. It also counts as verbal abuse when a consumer hears or sees another person treated that way. Taking financial advantage of a consumer by misusing or taking his or her money or possessions is the final kind of abuse. Department of Mental Health or private provider staff may not steal or borrow a consumer's money or personal belongings. Purchasing anything, co-signing a loan, entering into a contract, or hiring a consumer at a low rate of pay may be considered financial abuse. Now that you know about abuse, let's talk about the different kinds of neglect. The first kind of neglect happens when a person does not receive the right kind of care. Neglect happens when the person does not receive the correct food, medical care, or supervision he or she needs to stay healthy. Neglect also occurs when an employee of the Department of Mental Health or private provider does not keep the place that a consumer lives in clean and in good repair. When a person acts in a way that causes a consumer to worry or feel afraid, that may also count as neglect. Now that you know the different kinds of abuse, let's look at some warning signs. Things that you might notice that should make you suspicious. Bruises, cuts, or other injuries, untreated bed sores, lack of food or medications, failure to seek needed medical attention, soiled clothing, dirty or dangerous living conditions, unpaid utilities, or missing money or personal items. Sometimes a person changes because of abuse. The consumer may stop bathing or lose interest in getting dressed, lose interest in hobbies or other activities, avoid talking about daily activities, act nervous or upset around a certain person, engage in sexual behaviors, or show signs of depression. If you notice any of these warning signs or changes in behavior, please make a report immediately. You may tell the head of the facility or private provider agency, or you may call the Missouri Department of Mental Health Office of Consumer Safety between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday at 1-800-364-9687. You also may call the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services 24 hours a day at 1-800-392-0210. By law, you do not have to give your name, and no actions will be taken against you for making a report. Upon notice of a report of abuse or neglect, the head of the facility or program director must protect the consumer from harm. An investigation will happen. The facility head or program director may start a local investigation, or they may request an independent investigation from the Department of Mental Health Central Office. Following the investigation, the appropriate Department of Mental Health staff member will provide the consumer's parent, or his or her legal guardian a summary of the facts, circumstances, and actions taken. The report will not include the names of employees or other consumers involved in the incident. Please help the Missouri Department of Mental Health keep consumers safe. Please make a report even if you are unsure that abuse has occurred. Remember, the department takes and investigates anonymous reports. Missouri law allows your identity to remain confidential. The department does not allow retaliation against a reporter. And by law, anyone who tries to stop or interferes with an abuse report may receive fines and other criminal penalties. So please, let the program director or the head of the facility know right away if you suspect something. If you are unsure for any reason or do not feel comfortable making your report at the agency or facility, call the Department of Mental Health Office of Consumer Safety toll-free at 1-800-364-9687 anytime between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. You also may call the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services at 1-800-392-0210 24 hours a day. Thank you.